Good evening, everybody. It is 8 p.m. Eastern on January 22nd in the year 2021. Bitcoin is between $32,000 and $33,000. It's been a good month so far in the Splinterlands, and I'm happy to be here. Happy to be here with this crowd, and happy to be here with my partner Matt. Matt, can you say a quick hello?
Hey everyone.
You sound pretty quiet, Matt. Yeah, you sound super far away and distant. Maybe it's on the wrong microphone or something.
Well, we have one microphone right now. I'll try to speak up. How's this?
That's pretty quiet. I wonder if that's me somehow.
Can the rest of you hear me okay?
Alright, let me turn this up. Alright, they say you're sounding okay. I wonder. Yeah, say hello one more time, and we'll see if it comes into recording. All right.
Hello.
All right, that's better now, I guess. Alrighty. So, sorry for that, folks that are listening to this. And all right. So, Matt, anything that you wanna share to kick us off for the Ask Me Anything this evening?
I've been kind of heads down getting the Raffle drawing ready for next week. I think that's going to be, I think that was kind of like an under marketed feature of the whole land pre-sale. And I think there's, you guys who put a bunch of money in the pre-sale and bought regions or tracks or whatever are probably going to get a decent amount of prizes from the raffle. So that's great. And we are happy to, have all of you get more rewards.
Sweet. Do you wanna give any details about what's happening in the raffle, or why it's a big deal, or what's the news and what's the benefit?
Sure. Yeah. We also made a post which is linked in official updates or on our blog with more details about it today. But on average, about one in 15 raffle tickets is likely to win a prize. And the prizes range from, just an untamed booster pack all the way up to the grand prize of an entire region, which is 1,000 plots. And in total, using the retail value, it's over $100,000 worth of prizes being given out. And that also doesn't include the value of all the totems being given out, as we don't know the value of all the totems. But my expectation is that once the land is live and released, that the totems will be quite valuable within the whole land expansion. And we also made a post specifically about totems, talking about what they do and why you want them, which is linked to in our raffle post today. So there's just like tons and tons of prizes, and there's fewer raffle tickets than we were originally estimating that exist in total. It's just under 800,000, and we were estimating somewhere around 1 million. So it just means, more prizes per ticket, really, at the end of the day.
Sweet. I'm seeing some questions roll in. I guess I want to know, Cryptomancer, would you be able to speak at all this evening? I'd be interested to hear if you can. Here, I'll unmute you on this end. Hopefully we don't just hear noises. Yeah, he can give a Brawls update. So, I see a couple questions. Why don't we do a couple questions, and then I'll kick it over to Cryptomancer to see, to check in on Brawls. So, let me get to the first one. I think it's Biz. So Biz is asking, when the Pretoria map is released and land claims are possible in Q2, does that mean A, we can explore our land and reveal the terrain details, even if we don't know what it exactly means, or B, we can trade the land?
Yeah, so so we're shooting for Q2 release. Obviously, that's an estimate and could be later, could be a little earlier, but we're shooting for a Q2 release of that, and that would mean you would trade in your claims that you got in the pre-sale, for plots, tracks, or regions, for the actual individual NFTs. So if you have a tract, you would trade it in for 100 individual land NFTs, and the NFTs would have all the details of the land at that time. So what type of terrain it is, such as a forest, what rarity it is, and whether it has magical resources or is occupied. All the details we went through in the land expansion posts a few months ago. So you'll get the actual NFTs, which we represented as cards, with all the details of the land, and then also if it has a keep or a castle, and then you can start trading them. We'll be setting up a market, just like we have a market for the current game cards, monsters, and summoners. There'll also be a market for the land card NFTs, so people can trade them that way.
All right. Flavi's asking, in the new system that is mentioned on the 2021 roadmap, including the fan art skins we've been discussing before, if not, is that on the roadmap for 2021 or not? Yeah, I'd definitely like to see a skin site up and running in 2021. Matt, do you have any objections?
Yeah, no. Once skins are done a bit better in the game, and are able to be managed and traded and all that stuff, then it should be easy to set up, third party or Splinterlands based skin sites. So there can be, lots of different skins, fan art or otherwise, for cards that, are just NFTs that can be traded and bought and sold.
Age of Fuel is saying, hi, I bought land plot tokens on the Hive Engine. How can I transfer it on my account? No claim button. Same I had with raffle tickets. I asked a friend that he sent me one ticket after it showed in my inventory, so he needs to send me a plot. Can you make claim button for unknown tokens in inventory, please? So do you want?
That was just an oversight. It's on the to-do list, but in the meantime, as Byzantin has said a couple lines down, on Hive Engine, you can just transfer the tokens to the Steam Monsters account, and then it'll show up in your account in game. Feel free to just shoot me a message and DM or text support if you need any help with that, but it should be just as easy as sending them to Steam Monsters.
Biz is asking, will there be a 5% market fee like with the cards?
Yes, that's the plan.
And then so we're sort of at the end of questions there. So why don't we let the players build up some questions now that we've gone through a couple of them. And Nate, I'm gonna take you off of mute too, so don't say anything outrageous. But we're gonna start with Cryptomancer. And Cryptomancer, why don't you give us? You did a quick anytime tournament update, so maybe you can tell us about that. And then there's also the brawls. Why don't you give us an update on where brawls are?
All right. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, come in clear.
All right. So, just in the last couple days, we had a nice release. And in addition to all the new reward cards, there have been some improvements for anytime tournaments. So there are some small fixes to some minor stuff having to do with entry validation requirements. Found a couple bugs there and patched them. But the more major thing is that sit and go tournaments are live now. So I think this is an exciting new format that people are going to really enjoy. And the idea with the sit and go is that it's a new option that tournament creators can turn on. And for a sit and go, the tournament will start immediately and once it's full. So you set a maximum limit of players, like say maybe 8 players or 16. Those are pretty good numbers for these. And as soon as that many players joins, then the tournament will begin. So it won't wait until an actual set time. However, it still does have a set time, so that if for some reason not enough people join, then eventually it will start. It won't just stick around there on the tournament list forever. And the other thing is those do not have check-in times. So a sit and go can be either any time or it can be single elimination. And for single elimination, there won't be check-in. So these are designed to just be kind of quick, spontaneous, fun things that you can set up and run really quickly for a bit of action without having to wait for the kind of bigger, more official tournaments.
And
So,
there's been a bunch of them that have been created. I've seen maybe 30 or so. Maybe it's more, like 100. Like a lot of
yep,
these
those
have
seem
gone
to be
through.
off to a good start, and people are having fun with them so far, so that's really great.
All right. Um,
So let's move on to brawls.
yeah, tell us about brawls.
So I'm still making steady progress on brawls, getting a lot done there. We still have a long way to go, so we're not close to the finish line yet. As I've mentioned before, the back end is pretty much finished, has been pretty much finished for a while, and the major focus these days is getting the front end in place. So that's all the visual elements, all the stuff that shows up on the screen, the user interface. That's what I've been working on very heavily for more than a month now. And we're about halfway through the implementation of all the screen designs. So all the new building stuff is pretty much in place. I'm starting to work on the core of the actual Brawl interface now. And I just heard from Nate that the graphics and the screen layouts will be close to being finalized soon. So I've been working with placeholders so far, but soon I'll be able to start putting in the actual finished graphics. So that's pretty exciting. I have a screenshot to share with you here showing one of the new screens. Let me paste this in. Okay, here we go. So lots of good stuff in this screen. This is the prep phase. Now, each brawl is going to be split into 3 distinct phases, and each of them will last about 24 hours. So there's going to be a prep stage, during which you'll prepare for the brawl and decide who's going to be fighting and what frays and whatnot. And then there's going to be a 24-hour combat phase after that, where you actually fight people. And then there's going to be a 24-hour results phase, where you get to see which guilds won the brawl, how many crowns did they win, and you can kind of decide what your strategy is going to be for the next brawl. So every 3 days, this 3-phase cycle will repeat, and then the next brawl will begin. So in this screenshot, you see the prep stage, and some notable things here. You see there's up at the top, there's a list of participating guilds. This one has 3 guilds participating, which is kind of a low number, but this is just a test on my dev machine. In real brawls, there can be up to 10 guilds fighting at once. And you see there's a chat box where you can discuss strategy with your guildmates. And there's, on the left side, there's a select a fray. So this shows a list of all the different frays for this particular brawl. And a fray basically means a slot that a guild member can take, which is subject to certain league level limits and allowed cards. It can be either gold foil or standard foil. And there's also editions. So a fray can either be all editions or it can be untamed edition. So you can see in the fray list the particular characteristics for each fray are given there. And each guild member will be able to pick one of these frays. So for instance, in this screenshot, I'm a Crypto Wraith, and I have chosen to be in fray 6. So that means that I'm going to be fighting with bronze level limits, and I can use standard foil or gold foil, and I'm going to be playing untamed only. So since I've chosen fray 6, I will be fighting against the people in the other guilds that also chose fray 6. So that means I'll have 2 battles in this brawl. I'll be fighting against both of the other guilds, the people that chose fray 6. And likewise, my guild leader, Monster Mogul, has chosen fray 8, which is silver league limits. So Monster Mogul will be playing against the people in the other guilds that also chose fray 8. So there's a mix of different league level limits and foils and whatnot in all these different frays. So there will be something for everyone. It doesn't matter in your guild if you're a high level player or a low level player. You can choose the frays that you're most suited for. And on the right side, up at the top, you can see a little status indicator around the settings button saying that this is a 1-star brawl. And the stars indicate kind of the challenge level of the brawl. So I can go from 1 star to 5 stars. And at 1 star, you're going to have less frays. So if you look at the fray box, you can see there are 13 total frays, and 2 of them have been selected so far by guild members. As you go up to higher stars, the number of frays will increase, and also the difficulty of the frays will increase. So at higher stars, there's going to be a lot more diamond level limits, a lot more gold foil frays. It'll generally be more challenging like that. And the flip side is that the potential winnings are also higher. So the higher the frays, the greater the number of people that participate, the higher the crown winnings that you can get as a reward. So that's pretty much it for now. I also wanted to mention guild officers and leaders will have the ability to manage these frays on the behalf of other players. So they can kind of look over the frays that people have chosen and say, well, yeah, that's great, or I think actually this guy should be moved over to this other fray. So they can make adjustments and move people around and tweaks until the whole guild is happy with the arrangement. So there's kind of a lot of strategizing and discussing with your guild mates in this prep stage to make sure that you have kind of the ideal assignments for the frays before the brawl starts. So that's it for my update.
Sweet. Well, I know that I'm pretty stoked for these and really excited to go see these come live and let people do these up to 10 by 10 tournaments that are filled with guildies. I think that's going to be pretty awesome. There's plenty of opportunities for strategy, plenty of opportunities to argue and haggle and figure out things that are going. And not every single spot has to be filled. There are a couple empties every single week, so people can take, like, you don't need all 30 out of 30 players to show up every single time. So there's a little breathing room in there. So I think there's good stuff in this. I'm excited for the design and excited for your implementation. All right. So going back to questions, and then Nate, if you're able to, hopefully you can show us some little snippets of land or something else. So I'm going to go, I see there's maybe 5 or 10 questions. Let's go through these, and then Nate will have an opportunity for some show and tell too. So I see Kyoka is at 808. Question, are there any updates on the new rental system, progress towards building? Matt?
Not until the raffle is done. So really starting next week. That's going to be one of the next major projects.
Birdbeak is asking, is there going to be a landowner-only Discord channel like for Mavericks? Yeah, I could see that happening. Right now there is a land discussion, which is pretty open to everybody, but maybe there'd be one just for like the region holders. I'm not sure it's necessary yet, but we could certainly do something like that. There's a bunch of fan art skins, and then are there other questions? Biz is asking, Cryptomancer, why Untamed only and not say Untamed plus Dice only? And pointing out that Gold Foil Novice may not be perfect or the most sense. All those settings can be adjusted. So what's in that one image that he showed isn't necessarily like the final say of exactly what that's going to be. So it's probably just what is in the it's probably what's just in the sample that he's done.
Yep, that was our initial design for it, but it's all driven by configuration and customizable, so we can play around with those and tweak them and figure out what a good mix is going to be as we start getting into the actual testing phase of all this. So yeah, definitely what you see in this screenshot is not necessarily exactly what it's going to be when we launch.
All right. Unit QM is asking, can you fight in more than one fray?
No, you can't. You just pick one fray, and that's your fray. You will fight everyone in the other guilds who has also chosen that fray. So in this screenshot, there's 3 guilds participating. So you're gonna fight 2 battles, and the people in the other 2 guilds that have chosen that same fray.
All right. So it looks like we're back to a pause. Nate, are you able to say hello and check in with us?
Yeah, sure.
All right. If you'd like to share some art or share some update, you're always on like a range of projects, so feel free to tackle a bunch of different pieces and show off some art of what you got cooking.
All right. Yeah, I mean, when the AMA started, I was nice and comfortable on the couch with my iPad trying to draw out some vector art. In fact, I was trying to create the vector art for the icon we're going to use for crowns, which is part of the implementation for Brawl. So as you create Brawls, you're going to earn these crowns, and it's not something that players individually own, but rather the guild itself. It kind of goes in their guild vault of sorts. And so the officers and the guild leaders have the power to go ahead and utilize these crowns in different ways, hopefully very exciting ways, things that can be purchased for the guild. But yeah, that's something I was working on. So when you said, "Hey, Nate, you want to come on?" I'm like stumbling off of the couch, running on my computer, trying to see, do I have any artwork that I could share? So I guess while Crypto was talking, I tried to screenshot some random things that were sitting on my computer screen. So you guys have the benefit of no watermarks this time because I just didn't have time to bother. So let me see what I got here. All right, so a couple of recent landscapes, and by the way, Shino XL, our landscape artist, is simply amazing. I mean, he just kind of breathes very cool life into what would normally be just, that's just a mountain or that's just a lake. He has a way of making this epic landscape look like somewhere you want to adventure.
Nate, you cut out. Mr.
The
Nate.
landscapes were so exciting. Through his internet.
Yeah, his timing is rough. He might be back to interrupt us mid-thought in a moment here. Flavia is asking, how do we manage what fan art skins will be appropriate for Splinterlands? We can go debate that later. I'm not sure that I have a immediate answer to that.
I think we're just going to have to use our judgment and, try to err on the safe side. We get plenty of complaints for lots of things from people all over. So, just try to keep things
Tame.
PG, yeah.
Biz is asking, Cryptomancer, will there be any sorts of resets in Guild Wars? Reset of crowns or any other benefits? Or will eventually everyone be maxed out with everything?
We don't currently have any sort of resets planned. However, maxing out everything is going to be quite an undertaking. I'll tell you that. It's not going to be an easy thing to do. I mean, I think there's going to be plenty of things for you to be spending your crowns on and leveling up and buffing and all that. And if limits do get hit, we'll probably add more stuff over time. But I mean, some of this is also play it by ear, so we'll see how it goes after it launches. And if something like resets, like the season resets we have now, that turns out to be necessary, that's something we can look at. But there's no plans for that right at this moment.
Randolph is asking, will Splinterlands still have voices with monsters? So the monsters, I'm pretty certain is a no, but I think that the summoners is somewhere on the radar. I can't tell you when or where, but we have some voice clips for it. I'd love to see those sort of enter into the sound. It's just that it's not the highest priority right this moment, but we do have some voices, so that's something that could go in. Matt, here's one for you. This is from Matt Clark. Question, are we thinking resource swap pools will be straight swaps between resources, wood to stone and wood to seed, seed to stone, or will there be an immediate currency like deck or dark energy crystals in the background?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure yet because I haven't got around to actually building that part. It's going to be a little while out. If it's kind of Uniswap style, where there's a pair of tokens, then there would be DEC paired with all of them. So there wouldn't need to be like separate pools for every resource with every other resource. But then from a user interface perspective, you would just pick which resources you want to trade, and like you mentioned, it would just be in the background that it goes to dark energy crystals. There's also the possibility of doing it like balancer style, where you can have pools that just have all the available resources. And again, that's just something when we get around to building that, we're just going to evaluate the different options and see what seems the best.
All right. So Quantum Nachos is asking, is there any new info about that secondary token that we'll be earning with ranked battles that's needed for crafting? I think it was called Shards.
You want to...
I'll go for it, Matt.
Well, I was going to say the main way that you will get shards is going to be through occupied plots, so not necessarily ranked battles. So that some of the plots will have magical resources, and some of them will be occupied, which means there are monsters inhabiting that plot, and then the plot owner can build some sort of like outpost or whatever, and basically fight the monsters to farm the shards. That'll be like the primary way that shards are gained, and they'll be a key resource for making the new items and spell cards. It may be that you'll also be able to earn shards for other things like battling, like ranked battles, but not sure about that yet.
So Dave is asking, well, I know you guys do great things to make sure that all players are happy with all facets of the game. I think some players are trying to help you improve the new small player experience. Well, I believe that this is also a focus of the devs too. Can you tell us in your own words how important this aspect is to you, and maybe some of the areas you think you can improve, and if possible, any ETAs of where they fit on your timelines?
Well, I mean, it's very important to us, but it's not more important than other things, right? Everything, almost all of these things are sort of equally important. So if we just, spent, most of our resources focusing on the new player experience, then we may not be able to get land out in time or various other things that our current existing players are waiting on. So we kind of have to give everything due attention. So we spent a good bit of time on the new player experience, implementing the tutorial a little bit ago. I think that's really helped on the desktop, and it's nearing completion on mobile now, so that's great. Now we've kind of shifted back to doing some more of the other stuff, the land sale and the raffle and card rentals and various other things and promotions. And then, in a little bit of time, we'll also shift back and put more focus onto the new player experience.
One of the things that we've been working on for the content marketing team is putting together, Randolph has been a big proponent of this, some kind of summoner spellbook. We're thinking through 2 different documents that we could send out when a player purchases the summoner spellbook, and they'll actually get some kind of PDF, potentially 2 different PDFs that help just explain some basics. So we have some preliminary text for what that could be, and that kind of gives us a starting point for what the document might end up looking like. But that's something that's not really like a developer focused thing. That's more of like the content team. So it's nice that we can kind of pitch in there and try to make something that is helpful to new players. That doesn't always, everything doesn't always have to require coding. So nice to be able to take one off the plate of the dev team. So in my eyes, like there's only one metric that really matters in this game of how many people are in it. So actually on that front, it's nice that we have some easier tracking metrics. So I can tell you off the top of my head, we have 58,238 accounts that are part of the game, and we have 19,251 spellbooks. So that is, it's the signups is somewhere between like 150 to 200 signups per day, and I'm seeing anywhere from like 15 to 45 spellbook purchases per day. And we've seen it with, you can see a whole bunch of new people purchasing stuff. It's getting increasingly difficult to recognize the names of accounts. It's just not. I've been here and I'm checking this thing every day, but I'm seeing fewer and fewer that I recognize. So that's a good sign to me. But I also think you can see some evidence in the secondary market value. We've reached an all-time high again. So you can check that out on your own and make your own considerations based off of that. But it looks to me like there's a fair amount of new players and a fair amount of new money pouring into the ecosystem. And that's something that we hope to keep growing. So that goes back to like, how important is this? I mean, I think it's a major goal for us to get new players into the game and make onboarding as easy as possible. And it includes some marketing efforts, some content efforts, and some development efforts. And it can't be the only thing we do, but it is, to me, one of the single most important metrics that exists. Biz is asking, how many of the new spellbooks are bots? Any thoughts on that, Matt?
I haven't specifically looked recently, but overall bots are down. At least new account bots are down considerably. Since the collection power stuff went in, so that's good. And just anecdotally, I've seen a lot of actual new players that reach out either on Discord or email or whatever. That's encouraging.
Stealth Trader is asking, is it possible to add an option to select which rule sets are available when creating a tournament? That is not currently possible. If Cryptomancer finds himself with a afternoon or something, that's something that might be doable. But I'm not sure that that's something that I would tell him push back guild tournaments so that we can do that. So if he can fit it in on an off day, that might make some sense.
It's on my radar. I also think that would be a cool thing to have. But yeah, like Aggroed said, I wouldn't consider it a real high priority. So it's something that I'd like to get to eventually when I've got some time. But probably not in the real immediate future.
Yeah, that's up there with like single splinter tournaments. It's another, that is a nice to have, but we haven't been sitting here promising people for a while we'll get you single splinter tournaments. Here are the Guild Wars, we have a roadmap. Just going after every single shiny thing isn't our priority. It's delivering the things that we've said we're going to work on. After they're done, we can take on additional work to go further develop the game, and we look forward to doing that. But Randolph is in here every week being like, where's my boss fight? And if I tell him, well, we pushed back the boss fight so that we could go add some semi-random features to tournaments, then I know that I'll just take a lot of flack for it. So our goal is to try to figure out how do we deliver on the pieces that are out there. Kyokiz is asking, would you be able to get a summary of accounts quantity for each sub-league?
We would be able to. I don't have that right now, but ping me about it. I can try to see if I can pull that data. It should be pretty easy.
Cryptokeeper is asking, have you considered missions for newer purchasers of a spellbook? Example, have a rent a card from the market being one mission, have several missions created at random for new player experiences, such as buying a new card, leveling up a card, those kinds of things.
Well, that's kind of what we had in mind for achievements, which is one of those features that keeps getting pushed back as other things take priority. But yeah, that's basically what we were thinking. Just different things that we want to encourage people to do in the game, and then have some type of reward for doing them.
Biz is asking, once guild wars are in place, what's the plan for boss monsters? So, I think once guild tournaments are in place, we got to let them run for a little bit just to see, is this functioning? Is it doing all the stuff that we want? We're not quite ready for land implementation. So I think we have a little bit of time to knock some smaller stuff off of the backlog. Matt mentioned like the market rentals, so that's on the brain. Getting our first boss fight out there, I think that would be swell. So that's what I want to see happen. I don't know. I'm supposed to go meet with Nate pretty soon and get some initial designs and thoughts on what those boss monster fights will look like. So we're getting into the not just the promise phase, but the design phase, and then hopefully we'll get into the development phase and front end phase, in the not too distant future. I imagine that our first one rolls out before land, but we'll see. Anything else to add on that, Matt?
No, that sounds about right.
Matt's asking, did Splinterlands staff have a pleasant and relaxing Christmas, New Year's Eve period? Not particularly, but it was acceptable. How about you, Matt?
Yeah, it was pretty nice. I mean, we don't really take off of work much ever, but there was a lot of getting ready, for the end of the land, pre-sale and all that stuff. But I'd say it was pretty good.
Quantum Nachos is asking, what's the average active players in ranked battles last month or per day? We're between.
You can, if you have an idea.
Yeah, we're between like 6,000 and 7,000 per day, which we've been cutting down on the number of bots and growing up on the number of humans. So even if growth is not all that like aggressive, it's the kind of growth that are more unique people, and that number is growing pretty well. So I'm happy about that for now. Question, tournaments in mobile when?
I don't have a date, but that's going to be the next mobile project after the tutorial's done and the iOS app is out. I mean, a lot of that's more on like Nate and the design side. There's a lot of stuff being designed right now, so we gotta find time to get mobile tournaments designed, and then we can go forward with that. So I don't have a date other than it's kind of the next big mobile project.
Question, is there a way to select a lower level monster to fight? In the slow rule set, you may want to select a lower level monster. Is it not possible to consider this as a feature in the future?
Yeah, that's something that's been, kind of on the backlog forever. It hasn't been like a huge priority, but it's something that should be available, and we'll, try to get to it at some point.
Question from Dave McCoy on totems. There will be different types of totems, even within a rarity. For instance, are all common totems the same, or will there be many different common totems that get revealed at some point in the future?
Oh yeah, no, there's going to be lots of different. So initially for the raffle, you're just going to get like a common totem or a legendary totem, and those are really like claims for the actual NFTs that you'll get later on when they're released, similar to the land claims that'll be traded into the actual land plot NFTs. So once the totems are released as part of the land expansion, you can trade in the claims that you'll get in the raffle next week. And then there's going to be a whole bunch of different ones. So there's going to be totems that give bonuses to all sorts of different things in the land expansion. It might give a bonus to farming grain. It might give a bonus to harvesting shards from monsters on an occupied plot. It might give a bonus to item or spell crafting speed or rarity or all those different things. So there's going to be all sorts of different totems, and then each of those, there's a totem that is a benefit for mining Sparkstone. There will be a common, rare, epic, and legendary version of that totem. So it'll be, people will have to really trade and buy and sell to get the specific kind of totems that they need for their land plots.
Unit QM is asking, any plans to open up the reward pool for daily quests? Maybe skins or other potions?
That's possible. I don't have specific plans for that right now, but I guess the whole idea of changing the quest rewards to the loot chests is that we can kind of put any sorts of different things in there. So as we add new stuff, that'll be an option, I guess.
All right, we hit a wall on questions. Any kind of general development update that you want to provide, Matt?
Oh, I mean, general development is pretty similar as it's been going. We have way more stuff to do than we have people to do it right now. So as always, we're just we're trying to focus and prioritize the things that make sense. And to Dave's question earlier about how do we prioritize new player experience, it's just it gets in the rotation. I look at it, we focus on one thing, then we kind of switch to kind of working on another area and back and forth, so we kind of hit all the different things as much as we can. And also there's different things that need to be done by certain times that we obviously have to prioritize. But other than that, it's just juggling the different priorities, keeping track of what all the different people are working on, and making sure things are tested and working well and all that stuff.
Unit QM is asking, are y'all expanding the dev team?
Yeah, we actually just discussed that, Aggroed and I, earlier today. So hiring and expanding it is hard. We had a situation in the past where we brought someone on that didn't work out, and for an organization of our size, that was a huge wasted time for us. So we got to be really careful in the process of bringing new people on to make sure they're really good and will really work out. And then it's also, that it's more work for me up front to onboard new people and kind of get them up to speed and working. So we definitely plan to expand the dev team and potentially other parts of the organization in 2021. But it may take a little while before that happens and starts ramping up into faster development.
All right, let's go try Nate again. Let's see if he's server muted. So Nate, you are no longer server muted. You are live. Do you want to try to put in some of the art you've done?
Sure. Yeah, and I see that there's more questions, and we got 15 minutes left, so I'll be quick. So let's see. Here is I just got these recently, so I haven't even had a chance to really do much with them. But here's an example of what Shino XL did for us when it comes to Tundra. So this is one version Tundra. I think that's which Tundra is that? That's probably Epic. Might be Legendary. I don't remember. Here is a bog. I think this is a common bog, but still, for a bog, you think, wow, that looks cool. I wouldn't mind owning a bog. So that's pretty neat. When it comes to some of the crafting and spell buildings, here is some of the sketched conceptualizations. I think this one's fire and water. So uh, fire crafting items and fire magic spells and where they come from. And the vectors are coming along nicely, but that was maybe a couple of weeks ago. We were sketching around different concepts for what those might look like. More recently, we got the brawls. So don't. It's kind of like what Crypto was saying. Don't put too much stock into what's on this screen, but it gives you like a taste of what land and buildings are going to look like in brawls. So the guild hall is going to change. I think that's like a level 5 version of the guild hall, and how the screens are coming along as I prepare to kind of get Cryptomancer what he needs. So real quick and dirty, there's some tastes of some different stuff you can look at. There you go.
Awesome. Yeah, hopefully you guys are as excited about this as we are. The for the parts that Nate is doing personally, that's going great, and he's overseeing a lot of art creation, and as you can see, it's pretty stunning. So really stoked to have that added to the game. It's honestly more beautiful than I can even envision. So I like to just hand it over to Nate and say, make this thing prettier than I would know how to do, and he's great. So thank you, Nate.
Sure.
Let's see. Any news or updates with Brave? Matt, are we going to share anything?
We are still working with Brave on a bunch of new things that we hope to announce in the near future. So yes, we are still working with Brave and still talking to them about a bunch of stuff, but we're not going to announce it until it's ready to be announced. There was one question above that, though, from Paul TRX.
Oh, well, was the die DEC pool mentioned yet? No.
Yeah, so no, but to add more info to that, that's also something I just failed to mention that I'm planning to work on right after the raffle's done. So, it's set up on the Uniswap side. We just need to figure out the details of how the rewards will work between the multiple pools and get a post out with enough advance notice for people to decide what they want to do. So look for that within the next couple weeks.
All right, Dave McCoy is asking, Aggie, you said you've been super busy lately. Are there any more partnerships that you still have in the pipeline? Yeah, I'm working on the biggest one yet. I'm not going to talk about it specifically. It's international in scope. This thing is going to take a couple months to put together. It's already been a couple months to get it moving, but it's bigger than anything else that I've worked on to date, and still continues to look promising. And maybe in like Q2 or Q3, I actually get this thing to manifest. But there's just this company's big and they're slow, and there's just way too much between here and there to be like, this is what's coming and it's 100% guaranteed and I know it. So I'm just going to steer clear of that. But yeah, I'm working on one that I would say dwarfs all the other ones to date, and we'll see if we can pull it off. And there's a lot of steps from here to there, but if it hits, it's going to be pretty spectacular. All right, Paul T-Rex is asking, when can we get a list of all possible classifications like bogs, tundra, swamp? Does each one have a rarity, so each one has 4 variations?
I think in the post that we did about the land expansion back in like October, it listed all the types of terrain. I think there were 14 different types listed there, and then they each will have 4 rarities. But then they can also, it's not just the 4 rarities, they can also have magical resources or be occupied. So you could get a bog with sparkstone on it versus just a regular bog, or a bog that's occupied by monsters that you can fight for shards, and then each of those could be common through legendary. So there's going to be like just tons of variation on each land plot, and then that will pretty much determine what kind of building you're likely to build there, what resources it generates, what totems you're going to want, and what monsters or summoners you're going to want working on that land, because obviously life splinter monsters won't be as happy working on a bog as death splinter monsters might be, and things like that. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of variation and things to think about there, which is what we want.
Will the land look like this in gameplay? I mean, inside the what you're seeing for the bog and what you're seeing for the tundra, those are the background images that we're looking at. The concept art will sit on top of it, not that exact concept, but kind of like you see on the guild hall there, you'll see that the buildings are sitting on top of the land. That's roughly what we're going after.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be like an isometric type of land game like Civilization or Clash of Clans or anything like that. It's going to be more similar to how the site is and the game is now, where you'll have land will be represented by cards or plots on the map, and once you click into it, it'll have the appropriate background showing behind your building that you have on there, and then it'll show all the various options that you have on the land. That's like buttons and other UI elements on top of the background.
So Flavia's showing the Naruto versus reality. And I just want to share that my 2-year-old son was at the playground yesterday running around like Naruto with his hands behind him. And I was totally stoked to see that. Steve R. is asking, are you looking into layer 2 Ethereum pools like loopring for DEC?
Not a lot. I mean, I'm aware of loopring, but I haven't really spent much time looking into it yet. I think for now, Uniswap is doing what we wanted it to do, which is providing liquidity for the token and pegging it to Ether instead of Hive. Definitely was something we could explore in the future, just to reduce gas fees and allow more people to participate with smaller amounts. But I'm not sure that's a high priority.
Question, will there be any COGS, Blockchain Heroes style collaborations? There was a mention that there will be one announced this month. I don't think that one was announced for this month. I think we're just sharing that that's one of the priorities this month that the marketing team is looking at. Actually, I think it ties in really well with Digicon, of those promotions came out of Digicon, that it was the conversations that had been going, but then the deeper connection that actually led to those manifesting, and those were great sales events for us. So as I think we're going to target getting our next Digicon at the end of February or middle of March, somewhere in that time frame, and hopefully having that event ties us into companies, tying us into companies leads to these promotions, and we just have more and more friends that are out there. So I see that as a healthy way for us to grow. So
also, it has to do, also with other games. In December, both of those games were releasing new things that they were looking to actively promote. So, that helps as well.
There's one. Where are these guys located? There's Zed Run. They have like a horse racing game. So that's one of the conversations that I'm having. We'll see if that turns into one of the next ones. Biz is asking, are you going to use all terrain types in Pretoria? It was previously mentioned that you might save some terrain types for future land.
Well, all the terrain types that we've already announced will be in Pretoria. It's possible that there may be new terrain types if there is new land in the future. But the 14 that I see Chris Roberts put them there below. So those are the 14 that are going to be in Pretoria that you will be able to get, this year.
Sweet. When is the next AMA? You want to go do the next one just at the normal time, Matt?
Well, actually, I'm not going to be around next Friday afternoon, so maybe we could do it a little earlier, like maybe 11 a.m. or something like that.
All right, let's go do that.
11 a.m. Eastern, which should be like 4 p.m. UTC time.
All right, I'm moving it. All right, we can do the next one at 11, and all right. I think we've run out of questions. I think we've heard from our one of our devs and our design lead. So we're out of questions. So why don't we call this a night for tonight? As per normal, I just want to thank the community for being here. Look, there's a ton of people that are here in this Discord late on a Friday night. You guys are awesome. Thanks for being hardcore. Thanks for checking out the game. Thanks for welcoming new players, and thanks for helping us kind of spread the word and growing this thing. Matt and I can't do our jobs and be here all day if it wasn't for the strength inside of this community. So thank you guys, and keep promoting the game. That we're growing. I mean, there's 170 accounts just today. That's a nice pace. So that's what I got. Matt, any closing thoughts?
No, yeah, I agree. It's awesome that so many people are here every week, and it's great to be able to answer the questions and see what's on all of your minds. And we are really thankful. Although it's very stressful at times, when I take a step back, we're really thankful to be doing this with all of you guys, and it's awesome that we all kind of benefit together. Compared to I've been in the games business for a long time, and it's never been a situation where the players are really benefiting from the growth of the game in the way that it is here. So it's just super awesome and really, really motivating for us to keep growing and doing everything we can to make it more rewarding for all of you and us at the same time.
All right. Well, that's the AMA for this week. I hope you guys have a wonderful and blessed weekend. Thank you for being here. We'll be back next Friday at 11 a.m. and we'll be here to answer all your questions. Thanks so much, and we'll see you around. Thanks, guys. Bye.